Before I get started, I just want to say thank you to all the veterans for preserving and protecting our freedom. The most talented people are in the military. For every professional athlete, country music star, whatever, there's 10 in the military right now, let me tell you, and they're making the utmost sacrifice defending our nation. And thank you to all who have served, preserving our peace and freedom. Happy Veterans Day. Let's get started with the program. You know, after a game like that, I hope Bryce Young downloaded Tinder. Because he's awfully good at catfishing Panthers fans into thinking he can actually play. Look, the tone, if he's on Tinder, I'm swiping right. He's a total 9. Just not at quarterback. This is the tone, and the quarterback will be the main topic of today's show. We're going to talk about the defense a little bit. And the locker room fiasco. Oh my gosh. The whole world falls apart. And normally it's me sensationalizing it. Normally I'm part of the problem. Normally I'm the one blowing things out of proportion. No, Nick Scorton, Akem Ekwonu, Austin Corbett, all these Panthers players coming forward saying that the team was unprepared, not paying attention to details. Nick Scorton had a really interesting comment. I'm going to touch on that much later in the program, but I want to talk about this because I think in general, Panthers fans are losing a little bit of optimism. And I go back to that survey way back in May that The Athletic did, talking about optimism that Panthers fans have in their team, but particularly the coach and quarterback. I think it was like 70% or something had the Panthers at a 4 out of 5 or a 5 out of 5 in terms of optimism in Bryce, optimism in the coach, optimism in the offense. You didn't think you'd be at a point where the defense is carrying you to wins. The running game is carrying you to wins, literally. Rico Dowdle on his shoulders, leading you to wins. You thought it would be the quarterback. What are the odds the Panthers are 5-5? If I told you you had to place a bet, the Panthers are 5-5. How did they do it? Earlier this offseason, there's probably a very small margin of people that would be the exception to this rule. The vast majority of people would say it's the passing game. It's Bryce Young taking the next step. It's ESPN calling Bryce Young a top 15 quarterback. It's Pat McAfee. It's all these big shots high on the Panthers quarterback. But instead now it's like the scene in Interstellar where Matthew McConaughey is looking on the other side of the glass trying to get through. And his family's over there. That's the playoffs. And the playoffs can't see you. And we're like Matthew McConaughey and we're trying to get through the glass and we can't because you know why? Bryce Young's standing in the way. The quarterback's in the way. And maybe the better analogy is the quarterback can't see through the glass because the quarterback can't see through the offensive line, which might be a better use of the illustration. A generational film, Interstellar. I love that movie. You never would have thought that the quarterback would be the problem. And I think on Sunday, it was the culmination. It was the point in the season where you go, this is our Achilles heel. This is our Achilles heel. And Kellen Moore, talk about Charlotte sports villains. Charlotte sports villains. Kellen Moore sitting in the locker room. I'm going to make them use their quarterback against my quarterback, Tyler Shock. There's no way Bryce Young could be better than Tyler Shock. And he's evil. Evil. That's Kellen Moore in the locker room. And now there's Saints fans literally in the comments, and they're very nice. The Saints fans are incredibly nice people. The Vikings fans were like, they were a little nasty. Saints fans are pretty nice, but they're like in the comments, Tyler Shock is the guy. Tyler Shock. Shuck you, Bryce Young. You just got shucked by Tyler Shock. Who dat? Bryce Young. Who dat? I don't know. I don't know Bryce Young. I only know Tyler Shock, QB1. And this guy that was a laughingstock during the draft, Tyler Shock, this guy that across the league, it was like, what are they doing drafting this player? Kellen Moore made the game, Shock versus Young, and Shock, let's make it a verb, he shocked. He shucked the ball all over the place. He was shucking oysters out there. Just seamless, just throwing the ball downfield. Like he's shucking an oyster. Throwing those things around. Spinning it. He had more deep throws than Bryce Young had all season. Unbelievable. And I'm just so amazed that the end of last season was a mirage. And we were all catfished into thinking that the quarterback would lead this thing. The quarterback would be the reason you're winning. The quarterback would be the reason you're winning in 2025. It's been anything but that. We're going to talk about that a lot more. First, this has been the topic everyone's talking about, which is the shot plays. Here's Dave Canales talking about his perspective. Are the Panthers calling less shot plays in 2025? Here's the Panthers coach.
Saw you calling and Bryce taking more shots late last season. Why have you gotten away from it? Is it as simple as what you said about kind of getting reliant on the success of this run game?
By numbers-wise, we're about the same. I think it's just a matter of chemistry, the full group getting comfortable with those and then making them come alive.
Is Bryce comfortable taking those deep shots?
We'll have to just keep growing as a group and make sure that, we're the time on task, the trust factor, the me to you factor, all those things.
Unfortunately, there's no real analytic that gives you information on the play calls. I might be wrong, but like all these advanced passer stats, all these databases, I think they're imperfect largely for a lot of reasons, but I think mainly because it doesn't really paint the story of the play calling. And Canales is telling you right there, I'm calling the same amount of shot plays, quote unquote. He's kind of like shot plays, amateur. He thinks the question's amateur because in his mind, there's opportunities there. The quarterback's just not doing anything with them. I guess there was the Leggett post over the top early in the game that got deflected at the line of scrimmage. But it's also the progression going through his reads. Bryce Young, there's a play to be had. There's a guy going deep. There's some shot to be had. There's someone with man-to-man coverage when the Saints are leaving one safety over the top and loading the box. The quarterback's just not going to the right place with the ball. So that whole husband and wife dynamic that Young and Canales have had, at least up until this point, when you're winning, when you're doing good, it's like, thou shalt not speak negatively about other. Thou shalt not throw quarterback under the bus. It's like, picture Canales wearing his gown, holding the hand of Bryce Young, his honest and steadfast and quick-witted steed. Husband, Bryce Young, and Dave Canales sitting at the altar. Thou shalt not speak negatively about other. Well, that kind of goes out the door. Canales says, no. We're not calling any less shot plays. And I got this from Underdog Fantasy. So week 8 through 18 last season, Bryce Young and the Panthers on 20-plus yard throws ranked 6th in attempt percentage, 2nd in adjusted completion percentage, 2nd in big-time throw rate, only behind Justin Herbert in total big-time throws. So that other stuff I don't care for. 6th in attempt percentage of throws 20-plus yards down the field. This year, in the first 10 games of the season, they're 31st in 20-plus yard throw percentage. And Canales telling you there, no, we're calling the same amount of plays. The play calling really hasn't changed. It's the quarterback. It's the quarterback not getting the ball down the field. And I think it's interesting food for thought because we all know that the mantra of this team, which is, in the words of Rico Dowdle, he told you, I didn't pull the clip, but just take me from my word, turnovers equal losses, Rico Dowdle. Turnovers equal losses. And that's the general mantra. That's what Dave Canales will stand on. We can't turn over the ball. We can't give opportunities to the opposing offense and set our defense up to fail, even though our defense has been resilient this year by and large. That's no way to win. That's no way to win. And we can argue and fence over whether or not it's the play calling that's changed. Canales doesn't think it is. Maybe Bryce Young thinks differently. I don't know. Either way, this turnovers equal losses model of football, this idea that your whole offensive approach, whether it's the execution or play calling, I don't care. The whole offensive approach is do right more, don't take risks, It's avoidance of anything over the top, anything that might result in a negative play, might result in an interception, is avoided. We're not throwing downfield, by and large, outside of one shot play to Xavier Legette that Bryce Young overthrew. We're not taking those risks. And honestly, I think that's biting them in the butt. I think it is. Because I think talent-wise, Bryce Young, there's nothing wrong with him. He can make the throws. He showed he could do it last season when he was second in big-time throw rate, only behind Justin Herbert. Only behind Justin Herbert in total big-time throws. Making throws down the field. He was doing it. It wasn't a mirage. Some people in the comments, you're so stupid, Toad. If you think this guy's actually good, you're dumb. The statistics say differently. And I know what I watched against the Eagles and Chiefs last season. I know the Bryce Young I saw. And the difference to me, here's the difference. Here's Dave Canales talking about what Bryce Young needs to improve on in 2025.
You know, there was some good throwing and catching on some of the short intermediate stuff. But I do know you want to stretch the field at times, and we get these vertical shots, called, that we try to make sure that we're attacking the right coverages. And then from there, it's just confidence and me to you factor and working on that chemistry that happens in practice.
Confidence. It's confidence. It's the me to you factor. It's execution. It's, are you confident to make the play and make the throw? That's the key word in this entire 13-minute and 38-second, whatever it was, press conference Dave Canales did. Confidence. He uses the word. That marriage, it's coming to a toxic end between coach and quarterback. No, Bryce, you're not confident. This is personal now. And he just gave you a little bit of a window into the world. And he always says, oh, we're practicing well, we're executing in practice. Later in the press conference, he says, we're not doing it in practice. He talks about how there's a lack of execution in practice. A lack of ability to hit on those throws in practice. And they're avoiding it. They're just generally avoiding the big throw down the field. And it starts with the quarterback's confidence. That's the coach telling you it. The plays are there. The play calls, the opportunities, the one-on-one coverages at the bottom of the screen that were there all day against the Saints. One safety over the top. The opportunities are there. Well, the quarterback is either not seeing the field. And the idea that the quarterback's too small, I hear you on it, like drafting what's the quote from Bill Simmons? Like drafting a quarterback first overall who's 5'10" on the wrong side of 5'10" is a mistake. Like, sure, we can do that. We can play around with that narrative. He was able to throw the ball down the field last year. He was able to get plays down the field. What's the difference? He's playing loose. He's not scared about repercussions. He's not completely immobilized by this idea that he's going to make a mistake or turn it over. And that's the worst thing that Bryce Young can do. And I think there's a little bit of that mantra, which is turnovers equals losses. Bryce, you turn it over, we're so screwed. Dave Canales looking at Bryce Young in the locker room, hands on his knees. Bryce, if you turn it over right now, we are so done. So if you throw an interception, you better think twice because Evero, he can't do much more on defense. We haven't taken a first-round defensive player in more than 3 years, and you're going to turn it over, you dink? Don't you dare do it. Don't you dare do it, Bryce. And I think Bryce Young is in this environment where it's like he can't make a mistake. He can't. At least he feels that subconsciously. The tone's a psychologist. Just kidding. I am not a credentialed medical professional. But they need Dr. Phil in there. Like, Bryce, you can make... I can't do a good Dr. Phil on the fly. Hey, Bryce, could you sit down over here? Bryce, let's have a conversation about this. So, Dave Canales is in the room. And, Bryce, how do you feel about your coach? Do you think he's given you a good environment to maybe make some mistakes, but also grow from your mistakes, as we know is the essence of life? And Bryce is sitting there, and he's like, I don't know. He gives one of his politically correct answers, like he always does. Subconsciously, that's what's going on. The Panthers should hire me. I should be their therapist. Come on. Please, let me do it. I'll get to the bottom of this. I'll give Bryce Young confidence. I'll let Bryce Young play loose again because he needs to play loose. That's the key to all this. I know people are getting on him for the talent, the arm strength, and all that. I think the coach is pretty confident. It's the confidence of the quarterback that's holding the team back. So much so that in practice, they can't even do it. They can't even get the deep ball. And it's the underbelly of this entire offense. It's the ice cube we've kicked under the refrigerator till this point in the season. It's a miracle that it hasn't haunted you yet. Let's talk about this. Guys aren't motivated. The additional, honestly, I am just so amazed. The nightmare between Saturday at midnight. I stayed up like all night playing that new Battlefield game. I'm serious. I don't like those freaking military, what do they call it? They like the action shooter games. I'm not really into it, but my friend's like, let's play it. And I'm like happy. I'm like, whatever, they're playing the Saints. I'll just roll out of bed late in the morning, get ready for the game. Oh no, like every storyline, everything went to heck. Everything went to heck between Saturday Sunday morning and Sunday afternoon after the game was over. This headline. Here's Dave Canales on guys maybe not being so motivated going into the game against New Orleans.
A couple of offensive players noted after the game that practice was kind of sluggish or not as successful as you typically have it during the week. How did you see that manifest itself in this game?
Really, we just have a standard for how we work, and when it's not up to standard, it's my job as the head coach to make sure they're aware of it. I made them aware of it, and I've been in the league for a while now, and I've seen sometimes you have a bad practice and you play great on Sunday. Sometimes there's a fantastic practice and you don't get the results you want. So I have to look at both things. But when there's a similarity and it leads to something, it gives me an opportunity to point to the fact that every single week is a championship opportunity. Every opponent requires all we have in our focus and our energy to getting prepared for those games.
And it's amazing to me still. Like, I'm so amazed by this idea that we go to bed Saturday night, we wake up Sunday morning, and all of a sudden, by 5 o'clock Sunday, it's scorched earth. It's the quarterback's done. We can't win with them. We're on to 2026 with him. We need to draft someone, whatever. The coach doesn't have a handle over the locker room. Guys aren't practicing hard. 3 or 4 players that I can name, Ekwonu, Scorton, Corbett, all coming forward and naming some of the problems that might have happened throughout the course of the week in Charlotte that held this team back on Sunday. Guys aren't motivated. And I find it amazing to believe this because Canales has led this charge, this brand of football, the smash mouth, nasty, violent brand of football. These are the words they're using. Like if you told me that you were in the trenches or like maybe listening to what Dan Campbell says to his team pregame or a heavy metal song, that is how Canales sounds in these postgame pressers. Like, oh, we're violent. They say the word aggressive and violent. Like, it's like, geez, man. Like, it's just, it is football, but it's a game. Like, we're not going out there and biting kneecaps. My gosh. Do you think that brand of football gets exhausting over time? Because I had this fear, and I don't know if I mentioned it during a show, but I hope I did, so I got ahead of it. But my fear was like, you have a team that's built around winning this nasty, violent, physical game of football. Can you do that week in and week out in today's NFL? 17-game season. Can you win every single game going against these freaking behemoths, tackling 6'3", 250-pound running backs, and every single play just going all in, super physical game of football? Because that's what I think the benefit of the high-flying offense is. I think teams like the Packers, I think teams like the Cowboys, they don't hang with the Panthers because you're willing to push longer. You're willing to press the pedal to the metal longer than those teams. Brian Schottenheimer doesn't have his team prepared to take on Rico Dowdle, who's going to get 30 carries or 35 touches, whatever it was in the game. They're not prepared to go out and tackle him 35 times. They're not going to do it. Your guys will do it. And it's just this artillery approach, we're going to be more physical, we're going to be more dominant, we're going to be more violent. We don't really care about the quarterback. We're just going to run you over. And if I'm someone in the locker room, if I'm Trevin Wallace or Roseboom, who's had like 24 tackles or whatever it was coming into this game over his past 2, if I'm Ekwonu, who spoke out, if I'm Nick Scorton, who over the course of the game, your team's going 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, punt, 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, turnover, 3 and out. They literally had like just these short-winded, I think they had 4 3 and outs to end the first half, and then 5 if you count the end of half sequence, where I think they had 2 plays against the Saints. And you're just constantly getting thrown back out there. The run game on offense is unfulfilling. You're unable to run effectively. If you're Dowdle, you're just running into these stacked fronts. If you're Ekwonu or the offensive line, you're going against a doomed situation. And you're all sitting there, and the quarterback just can't do anything about it. You can't take the top off the defense. The passing game's inept. I don't know. And maybe I'm reading too much into it. Maybe I'm reading too much into some of these comments about the Panthers being unprepared, not paying attention to details going in to the game. Ekwonu, here's the quote. We weren't locked into small details, and a couple guys spoke about it. Coach spoke about it throughout the week. You can't get days back. If you have a tough day on Thursday, a tough day on Friday, whatever, you can always look forward, but you can't get that day back. So that preparation or lack thereof, it's going to add up. Unfortunately, it culminated into what we saw today. Today, talking about Sunday, the game against the Saints. I had the quote from Nick Scorton. Why isn't it in front of me? I don't have it, but he said something along the lines of the team being unprepared, the vibe in the locker room before the game feeling off, in the words of Nick Scorton. And I think there's something to be said about this idea that the defense goes out there, you're playing this nasty brand of football, and it gets tiring. It gets tiring when you cannot throw the ball downfield, when you're Jalen Coker going in the middle of the field and just hitting the heck out of these 260-pound linebackers, and then you can't even catch a pass. You can't even get a good throw from the quarterback. And if you do, it's underneath, and you're getting popped then too. And I'm not questioning the locker room, but I think this is the effect of the brand of football you've played. It's not fun. It's not fun over the long haul. Maybe a couple games here and there, you smash a team in the mouth and you win that way, but over a 17-game season, rushing the ball 35 times, I don't know. I think it gets tiring. Let's talk about this, the defense. Here's Dave Canales on whether or not the defense was the problem on Sunday.
First 10 games, you guys have dropped basically a touchdown off of your points allowance on defense. What are you seeing from that unit? Why has that unit played better over the last 6 or 7 games?
Some key players joined us. Talk about Trey Merrick. We have Turk Wharton. Edge players. Nick Scorton is doing a great job week to week, just continuing to improve. It's a group. Added a couple of guys in there, but then at the same time, it's focus, it's communication, it's guys working together, and coming out of this game, there was some really important drives that our defense got us opportunities back, and we appreciate that. Now it's time for the offense. Let's go. Let's make sure that we can have this balanced offense that we vision.
Again, it's like you're at the bar. It's 2 a.m. and they turn the lights on. Party over. Party over. You have no quarterback. Party over. Top 15 defense, probably top 10. Amazing running game. Offensive line that has dominated in run blocking and has been good enough, sufficient in pass blocking. Still a work in progress, but sufficient. Here's some, I think Mike K dropped some of the best statistics I've seen all week. The larger concern is that last season during the second half turnaround, the Panthers were putting up 24.1 points per game over 9 games. Adding McMillan, they're averaging 17.7 points per game in 2025. 5th worst in the NFL over 10 games. They've scored 30 twice. That game against Dallas, that game against Tennessee. Take those games away, they're averaging 14.6 points per game, writes Mike. Only the Titans have a worse average than that at 14.4. So you take away the game where Michael Penix is throwing the pick six to Cha Smith-Wade and the defense is continuing to turn the ball over in that game, set the offense up. Really just a defensive showdown. The Panthers defense just completely outplaying the Falcons, led to the 30 points in that game. The game against Dallas was Bryce Young's best game all season. Now the receivers were wide open. It was like throwing a penny into the ocean, but I digress. You take those two games out, you're averaging the same amount of points as the freaking Tennessee Titans. The freaking Tennessee Titans. Ugh. Them? Ugh. The Titans, like, I don't know if anyone's watched Titans games this season. You can't even watch it. You can't. It should be illegal. Like they should have to go play somewhere else because it's just. My neighbor loves the Titans. I'm like, I talked to him about it, and he's like, I can't even watch the product. Like when they had Eddie George, Derrick Henry, it was fun, but like it's a shame. It's shameful. They don't watch the game. They put a sleeping mask over their eyes. They cover their eyes and they just, hope for the best. Because watching the game might turn you to stone. It's like Medusa. You cannot watch the Titans. Thou cannot watch the Titans safely. Well, guess what? The Panthers are averaging the same amount of points per game as the Titans if you take away the two 30-point outings. Oddly enough, writes Mike, while the points per game average from the Panthers offense has regressed by nearly a touchdown, so the offense getting worse by a touchdown compared to last year after the turnaround, those last 9 games. Well, during that same stretch, the defense has improved by a touchdown, writes Mike, going from 29.2 points per game allowed to 22.2. I'm telling you all this. It's not just a data dump. I'm telling you all this because your defense is playing out of its freaking mind. Improving. It's better than anyone would have thought. Yes, you got Derek Brown back. Yes, we were expecting some sort of improvement. They weren't going to be the last ranked defense. We understood that. We didn't think they'd be playing out of their mind like this. We didn't think Trey Morig would be playing the way he's playing. We didn't think Trevin Wallace would grow the way he's grown since week 2 of this season. We didn't think Cha Smith-Wade would be specifically named by Evero as someone who's taken a step forward. You're getting contributions from these 3rd, 4th, 5th round picks. Contributions from guys that I wrote off. I said, what are they doing? They should go and sign Julian Blackmon. They should sign Jermaine Pratt, all these other bridge players because they don't have enough in terms of their young core. Well, their young core proved the tone wrong. The young core made the tone look dumb. And the problem is the quarterback. The problem is the offense that can't score. Another stat from Mike. There are 39 quarterbacks with longer completions this season, including Justin Fields, Jacoby Brissett, Jackson Dart, and Cam Ward. 39 quarterbacks who have longer completions this season than Bryce Young. The longest passing play came on a catch and run against Arizona of 40 yards. Bryce Young to T-Mac on the play. I usually end with a positive note. I usually end with one. I'm at a loss. I'm at a loss. You know what? I'll give you this. The defense still playing good. The run game can get back on track. I still think you can get 8 or 9 wins. I still think that's in your wheelhouse. It's just, this is dependent on the quarterback. This is dependent on the quarterback. You'd be 8-2 if you had a good quarterback. You would. You would be 8-2 right now if you could hit maybe 10 plays of 20-plus yards. I think it really is that simple. Can they get that this season? Can they get that? Do you have faith in Bryce Young? Do you have faith in Bryce Young? This is The Tone. Thank you so much for tuning in. We have so much more coming for you. I'm going to go play Battlefield all night. Just kidding. I have to go work out and such. And work. But Battlefield's fun. It's fun. It's too fun. I need to stop playing it because it's fun.